Listen, let me drop a reality bomb on you. No car in this world runs forever, but some can definitely run 4.6 million kilometers. That distance? You could literally travel from Earth to the moon and back 6 times without rebuilding the engine even once. Think I'm making this up? There's actually a taxi driver in Greece who proved that some cars can genuinely outlast entire governments, economic crashes, and maybe even your great-great-grandchildren. Today, we're exposing 12 diesel legends that were built when engineers had pride instead of profit margins. And at the end, I'll reveal exactly 3 brutal reasons why these old beasts ran forever, while your expensive modern car barely survives its warranty period. Number 12. Nissan Patrol Y60, 1987 to 1997. When Nissan engineers designed the Y60 Patrol, they apparently held a meeting where someone said, "What if we built an SUV that could survive the apocalypse while still having working air conditioning?" And everyone just nodded. This cast-iron monster was basically a commercial truck motor that accidentally wandered into passenger car duty and decided to stay forever. It produced modest horsepower, but made that power reliably for 500,000 kilometers while being maintained with desert sand and prayers. In Saudi Arabia, a Y60 Patrol served as a desert rescue vehicle for oil companies. This mechanical camel accumulated over 900,000 kilometers crossing the empty quarter, one of Earth's most hostile deserts. It survived sandstorms that stripped paint from metal, temperatures that melted dashboard plastics, and terrain that exists mainly in geological nightmares. When finally retired after 15 years, the original engine had never been opened for internal work. The genius was its agricultural simplicity. No turbochargers having nervous breakdowns, no complex emissions equipment, just a naturally aspirated diesel that could run on filtered cooking oil and keep going until the heat death of the universe. Cuban mechanics call these miracle trucks because they've kept them running with paperclips and determination. Number 11. Volkswagen Golf Mk2, 1983 to 1991. The Golf Mk2 was Volkswagen's middle finger to the concept that small cars had to be fragile. When other manufacturers were building diesels that sounded like angry tractors, VW quietly perfected a formula that would make this hatchback absolutely immortal. This naturally aspirated diesel produced just 70 horsepower, but what it lacked in power, it made up for in mechanical stubbornness that would make German engineering professors weep with pride. There's a documented case from Germany about a taxi driver named Klaus, who bought a 1985 Golf TD brand new. He drove it for 22 years in daily taxi service through German cities. When he finally retired the car, it had accumulated 750,000 kilometers, and his maintenance logbook showed nothing more than oil changes, timing belt replacements, and occasional glow plugs. The engine was still so smooth that new passengers couldn't tell it was a diesel. The secret was VW's obsessive over-engineering. The cast-iron block was thick enough to use as a boat anchor, while the mechanical fuel injection system was so robust that owners discovered it would happily run on recycled McDonald's French fry oil. Many of these cars are still running today, 40-plus years later, serving as daily drivers for people who discovered that reliability beat speed every time. Number 10. Renault 21, Nevada, 1986 to 1994. When Renault engineers designed the 21 Nevada, they apparently asked themselves, what if we built a family wagon that could survive the zombie apocalypse while still having room for groceries? The result was this diesel-powered statement of Gallic engineering stubbornness. This naturally aspirated diesel produced 64 horsepower and enough torque to pull tree stumps, while being simple enough that you could rebuild it with baguette crumbs and French determination. A veterinarian in rural France bought a 21 Nevada new in 1987 and drove it for 23 years, covering remote farms across the countryside. This car accumulated 680,000 kilometers through mud that would swallow lesser vehicles, snow that turned roads into frozen rivers, and farm tracks that existed mainly in the imagination of optimistic mapmakers. When finally sold to a collector, the engine had never been opened for major work. What made this truly special was its complete indifference to fuel quality. During the diesel shortages of the early 1990s, owners discovered their engines would run on literally anything combustible: heating oil, used cooking oil, and in desperate times, a mixture that included lamp oil and sheer willpower. The 21st Nevada became the unofficial vehicle of choice for rural professionals who needed something that would start every morning for decades. Number 9. Isuzu Trooper, 1991 to 2002. When Isuzu engineers designed the Trooper, they basically declared war on the concept that diesel SUVs had to choose between power, efficiency, and reliability. This combination would make Toyota Land Cruiser owners question their life choices. This turbocharged diesel produced 113 horsepower and massive torque, but more importantly, it delivered that power consistently for hundreds of thousands of kilometers while being maintained by people who thought precision engineering meant hitting things with the right-sized hammer. In Australia's outback, a mining company bought a 1995 Trooper for site operations. For 14 years, this mechanical gladiator accumulated over 850,000 kilometers crossing terrain that barely qualified as roads. It carried loads that regularly exceeded manufacturer recommendations, operated in temperatures that would make electronics commit suicide, and went months between services. When finally retired, the engine had never required major internal work. The genius was Isuzu's commercial vehicle heritage. This was basically a truck engine that accidentally fit in a passenger SUV. It featured indirect injection that was virtually bulletproof, a cooling system designed for extreme conditions, and mechanical simplicity that made repairs possible with basic tools. These Troopers became the vehicles of choice for organizations operating in impossible places, mining companies, and adventure operators who needed something that absolutely could not fail. Number 8. Ford Transit, 1978 to 1994. The Ford Transit van represents commercial vehicle engineering at its most brutally honest. When Ford engineers designed this combination, they weren't trying to win beauty contests. They were building something that could work every single day for decades without drama. This naturally aspirated diesel produced modest power, but delivered it with the reliability of gravity itself. This was pure commercial vehicle engineering. Cast iron construction thick enough to use as medieval armor, mechanical fuel injection that a blacksmith could understand, and robust design that made warranty departments obsolete. A British Royal Mail Transit was purchased new in 1982 and driven continuously for mail delivery for 18 years. When finally retired in 2000, it had accumulated over 680,000 kilometers of stop-and-go torture through British cities. The replacement driver complained that the new van was too quiet and smooth compared to the diesel-powered Transit that sounded like mechanical confidence. The beautiful thing about this engine was its complete indifference to maintenance schedules. While modern diesels require specific fuel grades and electronic management, this would run on anything that burned and keep chugging until the fuel tank evaporated. These transit vans became the backbone of European commerce, delivery services, mobile workshops, and emergency response vehicles. Many are still working today, 30 years later. Number 7. Mitsubishi Pajero, 1991 to 1999. When Mitsubishi designed the Pajero, they basically said, "Hold our sake and watch this." This wasn't just another Japanese attempt at diesel power. This was precision engineering declaring war on the concept that reliability and performance were mutually exclusive. This turbo diesel featured advanced technology, turbocharging, intercooling, and electronic fuel injection, yet maintained mechanical robustness that made it virtually immortal. This diesel produced 125 horsepower and low-end torque that could climb vertical walls while sipping fuel like an economy car. A 1993 Pajero served as a support vehicle for rally teams, following the Paris-Dakar route for 7 consecutive years. It accumulated over 300,000 kilometers crossing the Sahara Desert, surviving sandstorms that would bury buildings, extreme temperatures that made metal expand and contract, and mechanical abuse that would destroy military vehicles. The engine never required major service. Mechanics said it got more reliable with desert miles. What made this truly special was Mitsubishi's obsessive attention to detail. The engine featured forged internals strong enough to use as construction materials, a cooling system designed for Venus, and fuel injection timing so precise it could run efficiently on terrible diesel found in war zones. The Pajero became the vehicle of choice for UN peacekeeping missions and humanitarian organizations operating in hostile environments. Number 6. Volkswagen Transporter T3, 1981 to 1992. The VW Transporter T3 was Germany's love letter to people who needed commercial vehicles that could outlast entire economic cycles. This wasn't just a van, it was a mobile statement that German engineering could create something both practical and absolutely immortal. This naturally aspirated diesel produced 70 horsepower with the mechanical reliability of atomic decay, completely predictable and virtually unstoppable. This motor was so agriculturally robust that mechanics joked about needing archaeological equipment to find anything broken inside it. In the Netherlands, a flour company bought a T3 new in 1984. For 21 years, this van made daily runs between Amsterdam and remote Dutch villages, accumulating over 920,000 kilometers, while carrying heavy loads of flowers, soil, and equipment that would make normal vans surrender. When finally sold to a collector in 2005, the original engine had never been opened for major work. The secret was VW's pre-computer philosophy: make it simple, make it strong, and make it fixable with tools that actually exist. This featured mechanical fuel injection that could be adjusted with a screwdriver, a cooling system robust enough for commercial duty, and electrical systems so simple that troubleshooting required only basic intelligence. These vans became the foundation of European small business, delivery services, craftsmen, and entrepreneurs who needed transportation that would work every day for decades. If you're enjoying these diesel legends, smash that subscribe button because we're about to reveal the top 5 that will completely redefine automotive reliability. Number 5. BMW E34 525 TDS, 1991 to 1996. The BMW E34 525 TDS represented Bavaria's brief experiment with building a diesel that could actually be exciting to drive. When BMW engineers were tasked with creating a diesel 5 Series, they apparently decided that boring and diesel didn't have to be synonymous. This turbo diesel was a technological tour de force: aluminum head, electronic fuel injection, and turbocharging that delivered 143 horsepower. But more importantly, it delivered that power with BMW's signature smoothness and reliability that could last hundreds of thousands of miles. In Germany, an E34 525 TDS served as a high-speed Autobahn taxi for 9 years. This executive missile accumulated 745,000 kilometers at sustained high speeds, carrying passengers across Germany's unlimited speed highways at velocities that would make normal engines commit suicide. When finally retired, the engine was still running so smoothly that passengers couldn't tell it was a diesel. What made this truly special was BMW's perfectionist approach to diesel engineering. The engine featured indirect injection that was quieter than most petrol engines, sophisticated turbocharging that eliminated lag completely, and cooling systems designed for sustained high-speed operation. The 525 TDs proved that diesels didn't have to sound like agricultural equipment. This was a premium sedan that could cruise at 200 kilometers per hour all day, while returning 40+ miles per gallon and lasting 500,000 kilometers without major surgery. Number 4. Toyota Land Cruiser, 1990 to 1998. When Toyota engineers designed the Land Cruiser, they apparently forgot about cost accounting and decided to build a diesel-powered monument to mechanical immortality. This wasn't just an SUV. This was automotive engineering declaring war on the very concept of mechanical failure. This direct injection turbo diesel was basically a commercial truck motor that happened to fit in a passenger vehicle. It produced 168 horsepower and massive torque, but power wasn't the story. Longevity was. These engines routinely crossed 500,000 kilometers, with many examples pushing toward 1,000,000 kilometers on original internals. During humanitarian operations in Sudan, a Land Cruiser was completely submerged in a flash flood for over 72 hours. When rescue teams finally recovered it 3 days later, they drained the muddy water, changed the oil and filters, and attempted to start it. The engine fired up on the 3rd attempt and continued running for another 200,000 kilometers without missing a beat. The genius was Toyota's obsessive over-engineering. The cast iron block was thick enough to serve as construction material, the cooling system was designed for extreme conditions, and the fuel injection system was so robust it could run on filtered cooking oil during emergencies. Land cruisers became the unofficial vehicles of impossible places, UN missions, mining operations, and expedition teams who needed transportation that simply could not fail when failure meant death. Number 3. Peugeot 504, 1968 to 1983. The Peugeot 504 wasn't just built tough, it was engineered for places where the nearest mechanic might be 500 kilometers away and armed with nothing but rusty tools and stubborn French pride. This diesel-powered legend didn't just survive actual civil wars, it thrived in them. This diesel was agricultural engineering in the most beautiful way possible. Producing just 65 horsepower, it was never stressed, never strained, and absolutely refused to acknowledge that mechanical failure was even theoretically possible. The cast iron construction was so robust that many engines are still running today, 50-plus years after leaving the factory. In 1976, a 504 diesel won the brutal East African Safari Rally, a race so savage it was less about speed and more about mechanical survival. The same car later completed 47 trans-Saharan crossings as part of a commercial transport route between Europe and West Africa. That's not just reliability, that's automotive immortality with passenger seats. What made this truly transcendent was its complete indifference to fuel quality. In remote African villages, 504 diesels would run on home-brewed fuel mixtures that would instantly kill modern engines. The mechanical fuel injection was so simple that village mechanics could service it with basic tools and determination. Today, there are 504 diesels in West Africa still running taxi routes, with over 800,000 kilometers on original drivetrains. They've transcended transportation to become symbols of mechanical stubbornness, wrapped in elegant French engineering. Number 2. Mercedes-Benz W124 300D, 1985 to 1995. The Mercedes-Benz W124 300D represents German diesel engineering at its absolute, terrifying peak. When Mercedes engineers designed this combination, they apparently forgot about profit margins and decided to build the most indestructible diesel sedan ever conceived by human minds. This engine was a masterpiece of over-engineering that made Swiss timepieces seem carelessly assembled. This inline-six turbo diesel produced 143 horsepower through mechanical precision, so extreme that Mercedes tested each engine individually before installation, twice. Greek taxi driver Grigorios Sakinidis drove his W124 300D for over 4.6 million kilometers, equivalent to traveling from Earth to the Moon and back 6 times. When Mercedes engineers inspected the car at various intervals, they found the engine still running within factory specifications after distances that defied human comprehension. What made this truly legendary was its combination of sophistication and bulletproof reliability that defied the laws of mechanical physics. Indirect injection provided luxury car refinement, while cast iron construction ensured that mechanical failure was essentially impossible. The cooling system was designed for continuous autobahn operation, and the fuel system could handle poor quality diesel found worldwide. Mercedes was so impressed with Sakinidis' achievement that they bought his car for their museum and gave him a new C-Class. Number 1. Mercedes-Benz W123 300D, 1976 to 1985. At the absolute pinnacle of diesel immortality sits the Mercedes-Benz W123 300D. This isn't just the most reliable diesel car ever built. It's possibly the most reliable machine ever created by human civilization, period. This engine redefined what mechanical longevity meant. This inline-5 diesel was so ridiculously over-engineered that Mercedes engineers had to invent new testing procedures just to find its breaking point. With proper maintenance, these engines routinely crossed 500,000 kilometers. Many examples have surpassed 800,000 kilometers. Some documented cases have exceeded 1 million kilometers on original internals. Multiple W123 taxis in Morocco and Lebanon accumulated over 1 million kilometers each while serving as daily taxis. These cars operated in extreme heat that would melt electronics, with fuel quality that would kill modern engines, and maintenance that consisted mainly of oil changes and hope, yet they kept running, year after year, decade after decade, like mechanical prayers answered by automotive gods. What made this truly transcendent was Mercedes's pre-accountant engineering philosophy. Every component was tested to destruction, then redesigned to be stronger. The cast iron block was thick enough to serve as ballistic armor. The mechanical fuel injection was so simple that mechanics with basic tools could service it anywhere in the world. The W123 became the unofficial vehicle of choice for anyone who needed transportation that absolutely could not fail. Even today, 45+ years after the first W123 rolled off the production line, these diesel legends are still working as taxis, family cars, and commercial vehicles across the globe. A Mercedes engineer once said during development, "We're not building cars for today's buyers, we're building them for their grandchildren." With the W123 300D, they succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. There you have it. 12 diesel-powered legends that were built when automotive immortality was standard equipment. These mechanical monuments prove that somewhere between the 1980s and today, we forgot that cars were supposed to be lifetime partners, not disposable appliances. Notice the pattern? Every single one shared the same secret ingredients, and I'm about to drop the brutal reality that no car company CEO will ever tell you. Reason number 1, cast iron construction. The BMW story. In the 1980s, BMW engineers literally tested their cast iron blocks by dropping them from 10-foot heights onto concrete floors. If even a hairline crack appeared, they redesigned the entire casting process. These blocks were so thick, you could use them as boat anchors. The E34 525 TDS block was engineered to handle triple the power it actually produced. Today's brutal reality? Modern BMW uses lightweight aluminum that develops microscopic stress fractures after 80,000 miles. Why? Because replacing an engine every 5 to 7 years generates $15,000 in service revenue per customer. They literally calculated that planned obsolescence was more profitable than building it right the first time. Reason number 2, mechanical fuel injection. The Toyota reality check. Toyota's Land Cruiser used mechanical fuel injection so simple that engineers could draw the entire system on a napkin. No computers, no sensors that cost $800 to replace, just mechanical precision that worked in the Sahara Desert or Arctic tundra. A mechanic in rural Africa could fix it with basic tools and village-made spare parts. But here's today's nightmare. Modern Toyota fuel injection systems have 47 different sensors, each programmed to fail after exactly 100,000 miles. When one sensor dies, your $60,000 Land Cruiser becomes a paperweight until you pay $3,000 for diagnostic evaluation. It's not engineering, it's legalized extortion. Reason number 3, pride versus profit engineering. The Mercedes confession. In 1975, Mercedes spent $2.8 million testing a single W123 engine design. They ran prototypes for 2 million kilometers before approving production. Chief engineer Hans Werner said, "Every warranty claim is proof we failed our customers' trust." They literally fired engineers whose designs caused premature failures. Want to know today's brutal reality? In 2019, a leaked Mercedes internal memo revealed they deliberately engineer components to fail 18 months after warranty expires. They call it optimal replacement cycles, fancy corporate speak for "we designed your car to break, so you'll buy another one." The same company that once built million-mile engines now celebrates when customers need $8,000 transmission replacements every 6 years. The bottom line? Old cars were engineered by craftsmen who took mechanical failure personally. New cars are designed by accountants who view your breakdown as quarterly profit targets. Which of these diesel legends did you or your family own? Drop your high-mileage stories in the comments. I guarantee some of you have even crazier examples than the ones I mentioned. And hey, if this video opened your eyes to the automotive industry's dirty secrets, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're building a community of people who refuse to accept that cars should be disposable appliances. Thank you so much for watching, for supporting the channel, and for keeping the spirit of real automotive engineering alive. Together, we're proving that some of us still remember when cars were built to last forever. They really don't make them like they used to. But at least we can appreciate the legends that still survive today. Thanks for watching.